Welcome back, everyone, to the North American Challengers League. I'm Mazel, joined by Magical and Joshi yet again, as we have another halftime bit ready for you here. I'm going to bring back a classic, 2 truths and a lie, where I have chosen 4 players, 2 from each side of each team, and I have come up with 3 sentences for each player. One of those sentences will be a lie. 2 of them are truths. You guys remember this game, right?
What?
All right. It's mind-blowing. Ever. Yeah, it's very original. All right, so we're going to get underway with our first player here. It's going to be Evil Genius's Challenger's Soul in the top lane. So, my 3 sentences for him are: didn't know he was lactose intolerant until last year.
Dude, that's Mark.
Yeah, that's Mark. Used to be a Fizz main. Has LCS experience.
All right, well, one of them is very easily true.
All right, which one is it? Which one could it possibly
We know the
be?
third one is true.
Woo! You're starting off strong. You're starting off strong.
Okay.
All right.
Now, didn't know he was lactose intolerant.
Didn't know he's like that. Now, this is Soul. And was a Fizz main.
Now, how old is Soul? He's like 21, 22, something like that. Somewhere in that.
21? 21?
Yeah. So,
20?
okay.
I don't know.
So,
Baby?
as a fun story, most Asian people, and he is Asian, do in fact start becoming lactose intolerant between the ages of like 16 and 20 in general.
Okay.
And so a lot of them also don't realize it or recently developed it. So maybe it's not like realized it, but they just happened over time. So I'm going to guess that
real
that one is
scientific with
true.
this.
He is.
I mean, as somebody who had to go through that experience in high school, it was very traumatic. So I'm going to guess that he didn't know he was lactose intolerant, meaning that he was never a Fizz main.
I'm actually kind of with that. I don't think he was a Fizz main.
You got me, man. I don't know. I can't stop science. Joshi, I don't know what to do anymore. You got me both. All right. He was not a Fizz main.
One of them, I already knew. One of them was ooh, that sounds too specific to be fake.
He was a Riven main. He was a Riven main.
I went the opposite, where I just heard something that didn't sound right, and I'm like, I think that's it. My reasoning was like, I don't know about the other 2, but that one just doesn't sound right.
My thing would be like, Lennon, if you had, this is the kind of thing that you only get if you ask someone, right? Nobody says that it's like something that they just make up.
You're right. I did ask him. That was one thing he came back with. A lot of these, will be kind of like
you get a fun fact.
Yeah, you gotta get fun facts. All right, next up we got TL first, Rovex.
Okay.
At support. So he's played professionally at LAN for almost a month at a period of time. He played professionally at a LAN. At LAN, rather.
For a month.
It was 28 days.
Long time.
Could be potentially. Used to be a top laner. And cracked. This one's obvious. Cracked his skull open when he was 4. That was something that happened. Yeah. Does it raise more questions?
Look, if I cracked my skull at 4, maybe I'd be a better League of Legends player.
I know what the answer is. I do the opposite.
We don't condone cracking your soul.
Don't do that. Do not crack your children's head.
Yeah. One just didn't sound right, and that's the top lane, because I know he was a mid laner.
I know he was a mid laner.
There you go. I was hoping it was going to be very easy.
The thing is, to me, I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound right. I'm the opposite of Josh, where he tries to go, this one's definitely got to be true.
Yeah.
That one could be true.
That one's wrong.
And I'm just like, that sounds about, that one sounds wrong.
Little bit of background. Did play professionally at a LAN for 28 days, he said.
I didn't know that.
Which is actually kind of insane. It didn't specify and didn't get a message.
It's also very specific, so that's also why I kind of thought it was true.
Exactly. This one was very specific, because I thought it was... the couple of the stuff that he sent me was very interesting. The whole cracked his skull when he was 4. He was like trying to jump off a countertop into a bathtub or something. Yeah,
We've all been there.
Awful. We love you, Rovex. I'm glad you're here. So let's go ahead and get on to our third player. And this one is what did you call him? The Drill Sergeant? EG Challengers Smoothie. And these are going to be the 3 that we got for him. So Smoothie was a big motocross guy back in the day. Been to NALCS finals 3 times and Worlds twice. And has a cat named Teddy. Has one cat named Teddy. What do you think? You know me. I got to throw the animal one in there.
First one.
First one.
The first one? What
doesn't sound right.
What?
Really? I feel like the second one doesn't sound right. Worlds twice and 3 championships.
Has been to the finals 3 times. Has not won champion. Been.
That sounds wrong to me. I think it's less.
All right. Well, split. What do you want to go with? Magical, you lean in for Joshi, or Joshi lean in for Magical?
I mean, we can both just say different ones, and one of us can be right.
Okay, fine. I guess. I wanted to have team efforts here. It is the first one. He's not a motocross guy. He was a badminton and volleyball guy.
The method's working.
Don't sound right. He did. So this is all information he sent me. Has a cat named Teddy. Was in NA LCS finals 3 times. Has never won an LCS, and then Worlds twice. Yeah.
I only knew that he went to Worlds twice because I did all these
I knew he went to
clips.
Worlds twice. I thought he only made 2 finals though. That was my big thing. And the motocross was like, I could see it. I could see it.
I was hoping that one would be like, maybe that's how Smoothie gets his kicks. Anyways, let's move on to the last player because we got about a minute and a half here. So City Witty or TL first. Loves working out, which I feel like is a popularity among players right now. It has been, at least for a little while. The first longest stint in competitive was on Team Clarity in 2019. And out of these 3 champions, Yasuo, Teemo, and Riven, he has never one-tricked Teemo. Which one of those is a lie?
What were the 3 champions again?
Yasuo, Teemo, and Riven. He has never one-tricked Teemo.
I think it's the second one because I think he was on a full split last year.
But was that the longest? I would not be surprised if he was on a team for more for a year. Like that's not that uncommon, especially he played collegiate for a while, right?
No, I'm sticking with my guns.
I'm gonna go with the third one. I have to say something different.
So it is the third one. It is the third one.
So we're back in it.
It is Yasuo was the one he had never one-tricked, which is interesting. That means he has one-tricked Teemo and Riven. But the Teemo one,
I don't know why the Teemo one sounded right.
That's why I was like, maybe. But yeah, I think it's really interesting and that was one delivered by him. He was the one that was like, I've never one-tricked Yasuo, which is interesting in its own right. I guess as a jungle, maybe that doesn't come up very often.
One-tricked every other character in the game except Yasuo.
I would respect that, honestly.
Well, guys, I do believe, at least my timer is telling me that we're just about ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and send it off for the last game of the first day here on Stream B. So have fun with it, guys.
Well, and from what I've heard, we might actually be the one that lasts the longest. So if this is Highlander rules,
that's a valuable
there can only be one, and that means that we are the one that remains. Just saying.
The one, what? Broadcast or the 2 of us? Are we about to fight?
Yeah, we're about to fight.
Okay, well, that's...
I mean, we don't have to necessarily fight with fists. We can fight with words or paper. I don't know. I got notebooks, water bottles.
Sure, we can start throwing paper airplanes at each other while we wait for the bans.
I'm okay. I'm good with that. Anyways, let's talk about what's going on here. Yumi, first ban. I'm not too surprised, though we haven't really seen that ban in the last 3 games. We saw that in the first series, that it was taken off the table both games. This time around, hasn't really been touched for a few games, but does get the first ban treatment from TLF on blue side.
Yeah, I think I was talking to Soul, actually. Maybe it was Surdy, talking about the different ban strategies that teams have, and you generally ban the higher you go in competition, the more oftentimes you just ban meta champions, because you can kind of assume that everybody can kind of play everything. But against a lot of the provisional teams, that assumption is oftentimes just not true. A lot of them have smaller champion pools, haven't put as many games onto as many characters, and now TL first, they're just banning straight meta things in order to try and make sure that they have the best chance possible. I liked their idea last game. I love making the weaker team have the burden of execution in order to say, hey, if we pull off our game plan, we will win. Now we just gotta do it. I love that idea coming through from TL first, and we'll see if they can actually make something happen this time around, and if they'll try and recreate some of the success they had in the first game.
The thing is, you say that usually when it comes to like teams, maybe the provisional teams will see more bans on things that they're comfortable with and stuff like that. But we're seeing a lot of meta picks taken away.
There are a lot of meta
EG.
picks.
Yeah, they're just benching Maokai, Zeri, Vi, though. That one's a little surprising. There goes the Lucian. That's also an expected one.
Yeah. Varus, Syndra are kind of the two standout champions that are still available for both sides. And because of how many strong picks there are, there's nothing that you can just... you will always have a couple of very strong champions left over. So it's all about what direction you kind of want to go. We saw Mia playing the Varus in game 1, went for the lethality style build, rushing the Hydra. We'll see what they end up trying to do in the next game, especially because Robbie Bob tends to be very comfortable on a lot of these majors. I would not be surprised if they just dropped a Syndra for him right now.
I would expect that as well. Looking at what is available at the moment, I think that's a strong pick. It also does a lot better into Malzahar than the Rise does. Now that you know that is a possibility, possibly could take that, but instead, mobility going back onto Jhin. Taking that, I wonder if they just go double up on that bot lane again. The Jhin Ashe lane, that worked really well. Smoothly with those arrows, really was leading the charge without having to put himself in danger.
And there it is, the Jhin Ashe going to be coming through once again for Evil Genius's Challengers. Now we saw one of the big difficulties that TLF first had is actually getting on top of these characters. They will need something that can kind of jump in a little bit more proactively. The Elise is so pick focused. The Renekton needs these angles in order to come in from behind. And it put a lot of difficulty in actually getting some of the engages started later on. I would love to see that change up relatively early, and maybe something like the Wukong for City would really give them a lot of opportunities.
Let's see. Now, let's kind of theorize what we possibly could see for City as we get Rovex back onto that pike. I'm expecting they still want to play aggressive early into the game. This time around, it just might be that they have more bot lane attention to help out Mia and Rovex get through some of that poke damage they're going to suffer from a Jhin Ashe lane.
I mean, we do have to say, to their credit, they did try and give the attention towards the bottom side of the game last time, and now the Volibear coming through, another way to go for potential turret dives. Unfortunately, they can't really start at level 3, but starting at level 6, you get your favorite item back in, except it's an ability to turn off the turrets and have some good opportunities to be aggressive. Though, I am a little bit worried about this Volibear because it does face some very similar issues to what we saw with the Renekton in the first game. And how does it get in on the Jhin and Ashe? It really just runs at you.
It is going to be really difficult. You're going to get poked out pretty heavily by the time you even reach Jhin and Ashe. So really, it's going to be on the back of how well City and Rovex coordinate their fights, looking for two flanks at once, because you can only focus on one of them at a time. If you have Pyke and Volibear both charging at you, you got to decide which one you don't want to deal with. And by doing that, it does effectively make the other champion that's not getting focused that much stronger. But Robbie Bob, this is interesting to see the Galio picked blind going up against Aspect, saying, hey, if you want to play that the Malzahar again, not going to really have the best time against a Galio. But also Syndra, I'm curious to see if that's going to end up being the pick. Syndra doesn't have the best time against Galio either.
Syndra can scale for free against Galio. It's kind of like the trade-off, right? Like, you're not going to be able to get the kills, but it is something that gives you a little bit more presence later on in the game. So, I'm a little bit puzzled by this Galio relatively early on, especially because I know Robbie's Victor is really strong, and the Victor is, not the best champion in the game right now, but still very playable. And Evil Genius's Challengers, it seems instead like they're trying to give a bit more tools to either Shaden or Soul as something that will go forward and then be enabled by the Galio later on.
I was wondering whether it was going to be the Kindred or Poppy ban as that final one, but with the Kindred taken away, expecting a Poppy pick, holding on to that counter pick for Soul, the top lane. Yes, that would be amazing to see, but I am not going to actually take that one seriously. Now. It is playable, and there's a good amount of AD on the other side. But I'm still expecting Poppy. That seemed like it was the pick that worked really well. Viego's also something that Shaden played to perfection in Summer Split.
Yeah, Shaden's Viego was very good. We had a couple of clips playing that earlier in the day, just kind of showcasing everything that they can do. And I mean, with the amount of pressure he was able to put on the game last game, I definitely just say, yeah, just give him whatever he wants. He's feeling hot, just let him cook.
Pretty much. That's honestly why I thought they'd just run back the Poppy, because he didn't die. He was doing a ton of damage, and everything was set up by him. Here, having Viego being more of a carry, having something that could back him up like a Galio is nice, but you're oohing about Aspect with this Ahri pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just neat, right? Like, it's a good character.
I thought you had more explanation of why you're oohing about it.
It's just a good character kind of in general, right? But the one thing that I'm kind of looking at the TL first composition and again seeing a lack of is consistent damage, especially if Mia goes with the lethality style build that we saw previously. Ooh. Now that one we do have more about.
Yes, we do. And this was banned in the first rotation last game. So now that Surdy's got his opportunity to play Fiora, something that it can be very powerful in the right hands, he is throwing down the gauntlet against Sol, saying, whatever you play against me, I'm not that threatened by. Yeah. And the Renekton being kind of the classic counter to Fiora, just because the point-and-click stun is a lot harder to read than a lot of other stuns. It will be a skill matchup between the two.
Yeah, it is going to be a skill matchup, a favor towards Sol, but it's so swinging, right? If Fiora ever successfully parries the Ruthless Strikes and actually gets the stun, it is so crazy how quickly that matchup turns around, and so we will see if Surdy can actually make that happen up against Sol at all. Sol was definitely struggling last game with how effectively Surdy was actually piloting the Renekton, but now it's going to be on the other foot. It's all about how well Sol actually punishes this early and blind Fiora pick.
And again, I'm very excited about this TLF draft. They got a lot of comfort for their side. That Fiora for Surdy, sure, it's not the meal, but it's very aggressive, plays into the style that we know that Surdy likes to play. City onto Volibear, something that we had been asking is, how do you play around the bot lane to really help out Varus and Pyke? Well, there you go. Volibear is a good answer to that, so long as you're making sure that you have the separate flanks so you're not getting chunked out too much before you can even engage.
And loading onto the Rift for the last game of the day, we have Team Liquid Honda first going up against Evil Geniuses Challengers. And now, to jump on, looks like shenaniganeries are not off the table, but not likely.
I like it. Looking at TLF.
Not off the table.
It's still there. It's still viable. It can happen. Please.
Doesn't look like it. I mean, if Rovex really starts going aggressive, there's an opportunity, but just moving in, making sure that they check everything with arrows that they can, and people are just going to be getting a little bit of vision back and forth. And I like this from Sol, knowing that they can't really effectively stop any vision from going down, but at the very least, you can see where it goes, potentially. But they didn't ping that.
No. Didn't get that extra, what is it, 5 gold you get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't ping. I don't know if they saw it go down.
Might not have. Honestly, might not have. Might have been right around that hook. They couldn't possibly see it.
I don't think it'll matter.
It's 5 gold. It's not gonna matter.
Well, not the gold, but like the information.
Or 2.
Right?
Well, because I'd be surprised if Shaden went from red to Krugs. Obviously, you can do that as Viego because you want to power farm anyway, so if you're on this top half of the map, but it is Shaden who likes to impact lanes a little bit more, even when he's playing things that want to scale up.
Yeah. And we just said that while Sol is really going to be the one who is dictating a lot of this matchup, it does not start at level 1. Surdy on this Fiora, one of his best characters, already taking control. And by taking so much control early on in this lane, it gives him so much more pressure later on. It makes it so much more difficult for Sol to build up some of the lead that Renekton is supposed to in the after level 1.
I was about to say, once it's level 2, it'll be a lot more favored. It's kind of like what we were talking about, the Zeri Lulu into Lucian and Nami lane. Level 1 is actually surprisingly even. Here we'd favor more Fiora, but once you get past that, you're going to be fine.
Okay.
Shaden getting the stun. Doesn't steal away that red buff, but you knew what he was after. And with the fact that Robbie Bob's right behind him, they could possibly... I thought they might flash for the knockup on to Aspect. Instead, they'll get out of there. They didn't get away with high-grade robbery, so they're just going back to the drawing boards and wondering what heist they can plan for the future.
Yeah, that would have been giga tragic. Super smite of doom coming through from Shaden, and now just damage getting traded back and forth. But, I mean, that's a huge difference.
Damage traded back and forth? I feel like Galio got the better end of that. Yeah.
That's true. But
people always forget how much damage Galio can actually do.
Oh yeah, especially when you are just being aggressive, and that's something that Robbie can really do. He's actually pretty aggressive with a lot of the majors that he will play, but the difference will be now the fact that Aspect does have sustain built into their kit, and look at this. Shaden already coming down, only done 3 camps, Red Raptors Gromp. This is a lot of time.
It's hard to dive, though. I don't know if you want to dive that this early on.
You don't.
I mean, Robbie Bob was rotating around, so that was a possibility, but that's one of those on the yikes scales, probably about a 6.
But we have to remember, right? We gave so much credit to Shaden last game for his ability to get counter ganks up against City, and it gave them a ton of pressure on the game, and he was able to carry out the rest of it. But one of the problems that Shaden has had on the past on Cloud9 Academy was that if he ever failed a couple of the early ganks, if he never got going in the first 5 to 10 minutes, he oftentimes would kind of disappear off the map, and that's something that I want to see change here in 2023. This is a situation where they spent a lot of time doing effectively nothing, a failed invade, and spending time in the bottom lane not getting anything.
Especially because how important the success EG used Shaden for, right? Last game was off the back of how well positioned, as you talked about, always in the perfect position to counter anything City wanted to do early outside of that one play top lane.
Yeah, and now City's going to be up a couple of camps and will be able to dictate a little bit more of the game than they were last time. And already coming towards the mid lane, but the control ward does not spot that ward right there, and so Robbie Bob will know that he just needs to back up for a little bit.
And just a little bit. Not really threatened, also had his jungler on the top half of the map. Serty, this is what we were talking about with how difficult it is. You sure didn't get the riposte, didn't have the stun reciprocated afterwards.
Nice.
But you take a lot of damage for it. I know you're saying nice because that was a good Justice Punch to buff
getting out.
the charm.
Rovex is here.
Look at Rovex, yeah. Robbie Bob has the flash over the wall. Rovex could chase it. The flash coming in from Aspect. Trying to see if they can connect this, but Soul's right behind them, and there's no Serty to be seen. He's long and away from the fight. The flash coming in from Smoothie, looking to see who they can take down. Soul actually dies in the fight. This is somehow Team Liquid Honda first, winning 3v4 with 3 kills to start off the game.
It's the Revenge of City coming into the game. Finds a double kill up against Shaden.
He
Angie, let's go. That's what we like to see. Team Liquid first take this fight, and they get so much damage onto Robbie, and that is crucial. But we were saying City might have a bit of trouble against a lot of these junglers, but Shaden, having spent so much time not farming, not looking for opportunities to go for these strong ganks, ends up giving over way too much. Doesn't have the stun, and with nothing really left in the tank, Soul doesn't have the damage just quite yet in a huge group when you can focus down a single member. Shaden doesn't really have impressive resets. They don't have all the damage necessary in order to get this fight to start. And by killing one person, quickly turns into a 3v3 where Robbie has no HP.
Also, Soul, I think waiting just that extra second was the crucial blow to the fight.
Yeah.
Because that was enough time for that charm to come up, so he couldn't actually do a lot of that AoE burst damage that he needed to onto Aspect.
Good stuff, ultimately. Now, Evil Geniuses Challengers, they're not out of the game, but we already established the issues that they have. They are playing with 2 substitutes still, and now harder to make them look good. Oh, let's go!
Nicely done. Sure, it's an easy one when you flash in for the pull, but this allows some further.
Wow.
EG Challengers, they're struggling now in this fight. It is Team Liquid first. They are showing up. They bounce back in the second game.
5 kills to 0 out of nowhere, and it's coming from different members. Okay.
Rovex wants this pull. One auto. There it is. And talk about a snowball on Pike. This is the end of the world as we know it.
This is one of the captains that we've seen over and over for collegiate teams, playing for University of St. Thomas, playing for Taco Gaming, playing for the Wichita Wolves. So many different teams this guy's played on over the course of his career, and now showing up. I love punishing the tiny mystery that Shaden had.
And there's City getting a good amount of damage onto Robbie Bob, while they now look to reciprocate that invade that Shaden wasn't able to make work previously. Should be controlled completely by City. He's got a level lead over Shaden, still only level 5, and stealing away that red buff. This is a great turnaround for a provisional team. This is what you'd want to see, especially when dealing with a roster that does have those subs.
Yeah, and look at this small hesitation coming out from Shaden, trying to make sure that he doesn't get smote away, trying to stick around and just not giving him anything. I mean, Shaden has been so good at priding himself on his reactions, doesn't flash the hook, ends up just dying instantly, and the rest of the team trying to get away, but they didn't commit to running fast enough.
It was just a little too late. It's those seconds, just barely those seconds that are working out for Team Liquid Honda first. Here, I just like this from Rovex. You know me and Greedy plays. He sees how low he is. He's Pyke. Sure, he's only level 5, but he's got that first damage still.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that Pyke is still playable after they removed like half the gold he got off of his ultimate. It's something that Rovex in particular has been a massive fan of over the course of their career. And giving a lead to every lane but the top lane. I mean, I was expecting the top lane to be the volatile part of the game, but instead it is now Aspect with 1 kill, 4 assists, Rovex with 2 kills, 3 assists, very rapidly becoming a problem. And if you can take down Smoothie, if you can get this Ashe before it becomes a real problem, Team Liquid first have a huge opportunity to close this one out relatively quickly.
But this now is where we have to talk about for these provisional teams. You know, you talked about the lack of resources. I'm going to actually talk about sometimes not having that gut nature of when to slow it down, when to be able to make the game a little bit slower paced so they can continue to outscale their opponents. Oftentimes with a lot of these semi-pro teams, they'll get really greedy, make some egregious mistakes that end up punishing them and allow their competition to come back into it. So I'm looking at how they continue to play, especially if Surdy can get a solo kill over Soul, who dives underneath the turret. He's got the dominance, but the damage from Surdy, again, he is getting his revenge against his replacement.
Right stuff coming through there as well, and now Aspect looking at Robbie.
Look for it, but the Justice Punch will connect. Same with the taunt.
Oh, where's Shaden going?
Shaden, he thought that wasn't going to work out, so he went back. They get the flash out of Robbie Bob and that damage from the orb, but nearly taking him down with a Heartbreaker, waiting it. And Rovex shows up at the perfect point so they can get a double kill for City. Ashe and Mobility on the other side, but Smoothie, he's got to run away, and he ain't very mobile. The heal gets him some distance, but City wants that kill. That's what forced the flash out. And the flash in! City, what a Chad! Now he's got to dodge away from the current goal, but one connects, goes golden for the other one. Delaying, perfect timing from Mobility, but City still comes out massive.
It's still 10-1, Alex. It is still 10-1. Rovex, City, Witty moving so well as a unit. But this is what happens when you just find some of those small leads early on, right? You take so much more control over the map, and it is wild to me how aggressively and how effectively Rovex has actually been moving. He goes up towards the top side and ends up being part of that 3v4 that they win. Comes here into the mid lane just kind of because his ability to run around and turn around all these fights is crazy. And you already see Ashe and Jin are moving. They're just not as fast as Pyke.
I mean, who is really going to be faster than Pyke? Especially when you have double marksmen that have no mobility to their name. They're not going to keep up. That arrow barely going wide as well. And then Smoothie, instead of going back with mobility, didn't want to put his ADC in danger. Had to go back towards the turret, and that did put him in a horrible position.
Yeah, I mean, walking up here, I mean, little egregious, gonna be entirely honest there, but ultimately at the end it doesn't really matter. This lead is so large and it ends up being a 1-for-1 at the end of it, right, with Smoothie walking up. The only reason why City was sticking around.
Is it 1v1 when you got a double kill beforehand?
Smoothie dying was a 1v1 at the very least.
It was a
silver lining.
You're completely like forgetting about the fight that happened beforehand.
Sorry, that doesn't suit my narrative,
like
Alex.
right there, Rovex was avoiding and ignoring a lot of the auto hit attacks coming in from Shaden.
True. Yeah, and it's been interesting to watch how differently Evil Genius's Challengers is playing from behind compared to how they played from ahead. Because when they are playing from ahead, if they feel like they can do anything, and oftentimes they're right. But now, as the mid lane turret crumbles, as Galio doesn't really have a safe place to farm for a while, Rovex is so strong that they can just kind of start fights. And as they start moving people towards the top side of the map, Soul was not able to build a lead because of how much time they spent trying to move elsewhere on the map.
I mean, I don't know how much more we can praise TLF for these plays they've made. They've done a good job, and it's going to be on the back of Shaden to bounce back into this game. He's been scaling up a little bit, trying to farm as best he can, but he is nearly the same level as Rovex. The only thing that's going to help them right there is it looked like they had the pinch, but they dodge away from all the skill shots thrown at them.
Good stuff. Great escape, honestly, from both Surdy and Rovex to not give over any kills there. But what is this happening in the bottom lane? Trying to make sure that Robbie can't really do anything and give Mia more free time.
City is angry.
City angry.
He's like, how all these arrows that landed beforehand, no more. I am tank. I am beef. I am Chad.
Wait, Alex, we've completely neglected to talk about the fact that it is Wizard Varus.
Oh my god! It's Wizard Varus!
It's Wizard Varus. You just blow up one single person. I mean, that's basically all you do, but that's all you need to do. So
it's one of my favorites. Just kill one person really effectively.
yeah, and it allows you to set up for those Pyke resets, but just the amount of free time that Mia has had down here in the bottom lane, picking up all these plates. Remember, they give a little bit more gold than they did in the past, and so close to getting all 5 plates down here on the bottom side, but gonna be short just a moment. Still gonna be getting that turret in the bottom side as well. So Mia, despite the fact that she has not been participating in a ton of fights, is massively accelerating.
She's scaling. You got the Nashor's Tooth, looking for, you know, that extra bit of AP afterwards. You're scaling into this game, and I appreciate it. It's right there, TP burned by Soul, just to make sure the turret won't fall in the top lane. Surdy, even though it's only 1 kill, he's gotten quite control over that top side.
Yeah. I do want to give Surdy a lot of credit, right? This is twice now that he has won this 1v1 going up against Soul. The first one, he got a good matchup and really dominated it. This one, you know, Soul kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit trying to move, and then ultimately loses a 1v1 with assistance as City forces Soul underneath the turret, but it's still a situation where Surdy wins the good matchup and is now winning the worst matchup. He's playing both sides for advantage, and that is absolutely huge when you're looking at a professional team taking down one of the top laners that we were saying was going to be very strong across the Challengers League.
And like we talked about before, Surdy is looking for that revenge. Getting replaced, Surdy is not someone to just sit back idly and be like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
He's going to get angry himself. Yeah, oh, hold on, because that was a good stun aspect. Doesn't even get a chance to ult. Finally does, but there was so much CC. I bet that death timer is saying you got CC'd for about 4 seconds.
Yeah, that was a bit of a tough one, but Smoothie waking up a little bit, finding their first assist, their first KP of the game. Will it matter? There's no objectives to really fight for. Everybody's kind of going for a reset. So, you know, a kill is a kill, Alex, as always, but it's not necessarily going to change the outcome of the game. But actually, I kind of said something there. I did almost live. I don't want to say almost. There was a very real chance that I ended up living with Surdy this year.
Oh,
I don't know
that's
if you
cool.
ever heard about that. Yeah.
Ah. Look, I don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah,
I just kind of, they just kind of put me in like the corner until the season starts, and then I activate, and then I yell at video games. Then when the games aren't going, they put me back in the corner, and they're just like, you wait till the next games.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely seems better for everyone. But now we will be looking at the rest of Team Liquid first. They are 2 dragons to the soul already, with an almost 9,000 gold lead already on the board. And so the big players that we always got to look at as we are approaching the part of this game where it is likely over is going to be Smoothie, who always has the best engage tool in the entire game. You just throw it out, you lock down one person, but you also need the rest of your team in a position to follow up. So it's not just Smoothie that needs to be in the right position, it's Shaden, Soul, and or Robbie Bob need to be able to alpha strike that one target.
City getting locked down for a little bit, even getting the taunt, but should be fine. Fairly tanky at this point with the Frostfire Gauntlet. And, you know, you're talking about other things. I'm still just amazed by City. We talked about City at the beginning of the series, looking against Shaden, someone who's considered the rising star of the Challengers League. How good this player is, how he's been looked at for now 2 years as being an up-and-coming star for the LCS one day. Yet City, in this game, is taking him tour de force. He's clapped them. He is 5-1 on the bear. That is a scary berry.
I think this is, you know, a testament to how strong of a plan Team Liquid first had if it just wasn't shut down by Shaden in game 1, right? Like, Shaden stopping City's first gank and denying him a lot of effective time on the map made it so difficult. Now Shaden, oh my gosh, gets away with murder, and by murder, I mean walking his own jungle.
Which is kind of a sad fact to think about for Shaden. The fact that he accidentally dodges a Bone Skewer and survives is a big thing for him, though City got taken low by that curtain call, was looking for the snipe on the other side.
Oh, resets.
Now, this could be that reset. The flash in, but the flash away from City, and he uses it all as well, looking for the damage. They kill Shaden! Robbie Bobby might have got a nice knock-up, but he is double killed by Mia. Hey, not necessarily useful for only 1 kill, but 2 kills as AP Varus. You'll take that.
Yeah, all of a sudden, that was looking potentially immaculate for Shaden, but not able to get the first reset, and now mobility.
Dirty Angie, he wants it. He's diving even with Soul there. He's like, maybe I want to go for it more. No, I want to take down the guy who replaced me. You are mine. I'm going to make you into an alligator boots, but he's still alive. They got the root on the other side, so Surdy has to fall back to the team.
And they are going to be doing so much damage just inhibitor turret, but also picking up another dragon as we get our third Chemtech Soul, or Chemtech Rift of the day. At least that I can remember. It is a fantastic
it's the third one.
time.
It's the third one of the day. Well, at least for us.
Yes. Wow. The change in game from City and Rovex has been ridiculous, right? Aspect has been helping out quite a bit. Surdy's done a good job in his lane. Mia has, quietly just farmed their way into being a very strong character, but City and Rovex moving together and locking people down, this feels like the kind of thing that you don't often see, especially from these provisional style teams, and I think part of it has to do with the fact that they played together for quite a while on Taco Gaming throughout 2022. They were able to build up a lot of that synergy.
A lot of synergy from them, and the fact that they're just both aggressive. I do love that. Even when Rovex plays Soraka, it was a style he was really innovating where everyone's like, Soraka's bad. And he's like, nah, you just gotta be aggressive with Soraka. It was always about that, being right there with his jungler to back him up so that him and City could win. And Surdy's just body blocking Robbie. Yeah, you're dead. Surdy's like, yep, I am carry now. Look at me. This lane, this side of the map where my team's not, belongs to me and me alone.
Yep. I mean, that's definitely one of those situations where the sin of Robbie Bob was being on the same screen as Fiora, and, that's a tough sin to avoid. So, Rovex, stunned, but it doesn't matter.
Arrow, Rovex, he's locked down for a long time. That does matter because they got the shutdown, but the Baron has been going this entire time. It's down to 50%. Shaden now notices with the hawk shot thrown out by Smoothie, so the curtain call trying to get a little bit of damage, pulling over Surdy over the wall, but he just uses lunge back over. That they're going to be safe, but you know that Jaden, he wants the smite fight. He wants to show off his skills, and he doesn't get the chance because City took it too quickly so they can kill Shaden. No hero, no leader, no Capitan. The rest of Team Liquid Honda Faith will chase down the challengers of EG, and they're looking immaculate, bouncing back into this game after a devastating Game 1 loss.
Great stuff. The way that City has played Game 2 compared to Game 1 is night and day. His ability to control the battlefield, his ability to get fights started is giving so much hope for this squad, right? Remember, this is the only time these two teams will play each other until playoffs at the end, and it's so far a 1-1 coming out for TL Honda first, and as they take 2 more turrets across the map.
2 more turrets, and then the resets will happen.
Yeah, look at all the gold.
They're going to have a lot of gold to spend here because with a 16,000 gold lead at 21, almost 22 minutes into the game.
Look, okay, I got a weird request for our observers. Could we get a replay of when all of them bought their items at the same time? And you just watch like 4 inventories just like shrink as they completed items. Like it was kind of hot. Kind of got me going a little bit. And so like, there's really almost nothing that Evil Genius's challenger can do from this position. There is a dragon to fight for in 2 minutes, but I don't even know if the game's going to go that long.
I mean, and even if it does, it doesn't matter if TLF get it or not. They're so far ahead. They're looking to get the residual gold, utilizing this Baron buff to its fullest. With that bot lane inhibitor turret already that low, they could just send Mia over there and with not with the Hail Blaze, but with that Nashor's Tooth as well as having the Riftmaker, they can scare away everyone. Look at City Witty. He's like, roar, and they all run away.
You remember that? You ever see that on his stream? Roar, roar. Yeah, that's City. That's City.
That's City right now, and there's going to be the second inhibitor turret to fall. While EGC, just watch. They don't have much they can do. Soul is actually the one rage split pushing on the other side with 2 inhibitor turrets and inhibitors in full taken out. They're on the Nexus turrets. The curtain call is there, but they've already lost one. Charm immediately deletes Robbie, Bob, TLF. They bounce back. It was a hard lost Game 1. They didn't have a chance then, but here they have shown that they know how to fight. They know how to rumble, and City Witty taking down Shaden as one of the best junglers in the Challenger circuit is one hell of a way to start off the season.
Yeah, absolute statement again coming out from both jungles, right? Shaden did such a good job bringing the map game 1, but City Angie game 2 coming back with a vengeance, making sure there was no doubt that he belongs here in the Challengers League. Honestly, just the way that they were able to take some of those skirmishes really is a testament to the fact that a lot of the provisional teams aren't necessarily worse mechanically. One of the biggest things is almost always the way that they are going to be playing across the rest of the map.
I mean, the fact, too, that Surdy was just as angry as City, you could see that with that Fiora play. He was like, I'm going to beat Soul at every opportunity. Even though the lane phase wasn't necessarily the best, because you don't expect that to be with a Fiora Renekton matchup.
They took control at level 1.
Yeah, level 1 took control. It was kind of even until like level 7, and then after that, it was back to Surdy controlling the rest of the game.
Yeah, honestly, great stuff coming out from the entire squad. I'm looking forward to seeing what both these teams are able to do, and as a gentle reminder, this was not the full-strength Evil Geniuses Challengers, so while we are excited the provisional team beat a Challengers team, it is going to be a situation where when the Oceanic players for EGC do come back over, it's going to be an all-new monster. Thank you again to Robbie Bob and Mobility for joining us.
Yeah, I mean, they did well, too. That first game for both of them was a great showing. In the Rise play with Robbie Bob getting that 1v2 outplay, even Mobility constantly utilizing every shot that he could out of the curtain call, landing a lot of them, and making sure that everyone else could follow up. It was effectively utility and the execution blow that they needed. Yeah. It was well done by both subs, stepping in last minute. But still also impressive is Team Liquid First's win. Taking that first game, something that they need to, because as we talked about before, provisional teams don't get the luxury of just being in the league, staying around. They have to battle for every single victory possible to make sure they have the top 2 of the provisional teams.
Yeah. So, kind of passing forward into the rest of the future, the things that we're going to be hyping up quite a bit, I think, is emphasizing how important every provisional team going up against another provisional team will end up being, right? Because those have huge implications on the number of wins these teams will get and whether or not they will play relegations now. These are always going to be fun, watching the challengers and provisional teams go head-to-head, but, you know, it's situations like these where we get really excited with the provisional teams outperform our expectations that we had at the beginning of the split, because they really are here to play.
They are. As City looked great. Surdy back on form, what we saw back in spring of 2022. And then Rovect on that Pyke. The first game wasn't able to get that snowball working. Second game, though, that Pyke snowball, the train was out of the station and was chugging around down the tracks, unstoppable. I think we lost Joshi's volume there. His audio just cut out really quick, but it's okay. I'm sure that what he said was very smart and eloquent. We're gonna toss it to a break, and when we come back, we're going to get ready for the end of the show. We've done all our series, but make sure you still stick around for the very end.
Welcome back, everyone, to the North America Challengers League. I'm joined by the top laner for Team Liquid Honda First, Surdy. My man, pulling back a 1-1 victory in your first series of the split. It's a little bit of a top kingdom, huh?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he was completely capped both games. It was just a slaughter, what can I say? But it's really good to see you guys again. I'm really happy to have found a team at the end of the off-season after some unfortunate circumstances. But I'm pretty sure I sent EG the message that they made the wrong decision.
I was going to say, first series is split. You get to go against your forward team as well. Yep. So tell me about playing into this series, right? Maybe the prep going into it, kind of, did you do anything special? Were you just approaching it kind of as you are the rest of the season?
Well, I know Soul pretty well. I think out of the top laners in NACL, he's definitely one of the better ones. That goes without saying. But I also know that he doesn't like to play carries versus me. He's told me that himself. He doesn't think that he'll win. So I know that he's going to pick these kinds of self-sufficient champions like the Renekton and the Cassandre, even though he has 2 subs who should be, in theory, noticeably worse at the game than their opposition. So I kind of knew that as long as I'm holding my own in lane and doing well in my own area of the map, my team will just do well. And that's what they did in game 2.
So is there anything specific going against Soul? I know you're saying his kind of response into you, but do you have anything that you specifically watch out for when you're going into Soul?
Well, I expect a Furor ban from him every game. I don't think he's hidden me on it yet. So
didn't do it on the second one,
when he
so
didn't
there
do
you
it
go.
in the second game. I had a feeling that he'd go Renekton, but in my opinion, Furor wins that. Even though she should go down like 20 CS on lane, she just ends up killing him and his entire team at 2 items. So if he can't play Jace or Kennen, he's not going to beat Furor.
Okay. So something to look out for maybe in the future. But I do want to circle back and talk about your new team. I mean, you're a part of a new team, new piece of the organization, because it's Team Liquid's first foray into the affiliated semi-pro team. But it is a pretty stalwart system at Team Liquid. I mean, they won, their academy team won both Proving Grounds last year. So what has that been like, kind of adapting to the structure, adapting to the team?
Well, this is my first experience outside of EG, and I only have good things to say. They're extremely professional. The people at TL are also just very nice people as well. They brought me a chair, drove 40 minutes to bring me a chair and my jerseys. Unfortunately, I couldn't wear it today. We're not debuting them yet, but they look amazing, and that's something for everybody to look forward to. I think that my teammates have all surprised me. They're very mechanically good, and I think that they're going to scale really well going on into the year. Just in general, I've made a big point for me to be a very good teammate this year. I learned a lot from Impact at Worlds while I was with EG, and I'm trying to emulate the character that he showed on that LCS team.
That makes me happy, man. That makes me happy. Well, I do want to dive into the other pieces around you, because you're working a variety of different styles, experiences across the players. So what have you felt like your role is, and what are you trying to kind of do for the team in those kinds of situations?
Well, after my experience playing on EG last year, I learned how to play a variety of styles. So what I want to do, I don't want to give away too many strats or anything like that, obviously, because we have matches again tomorrow, but I just want to be most adaptable player in NACL, essentially, because my teammates play a lot of niche picks, and I want to be able to enable them to do that with my own play, holding my own, and my champion pool. Okay.
So in that sense, do you feel like the meta is kind of leaning your way? Do you have any thoughts about the meta in general?
I think that although a lot of teams are defined by meta, ours isn't, and we'll have a very easy time adapting to every single one that comes along.
Okay, I can appreciate that one. Now, I do want to go to a more personal note for you. What is your goal this year, Sturdy? What is an achievement that you want to be able to say at the end of the year, you have done this as a growth part for you, where you're saying, you want to learn to be a better teammate, anything along those lines? What is Sturdy's goal?
What is my goal? I mean, my goal in my career would be to get to LCS. I think that's everybody's goal in NACL at the moment, but I think my main overarching goal is just being a better person and a better teammate. If I can do that, I know that nothing's going to hold me back.
Man, I love those words. Well, I was gonna end it there. That's all the questions I had, and then I saw in your background your cat ran across the screen. You have a cat now, my man.
Yes.
I always had a cat. What's the relationship? I gotta know more. I want to know more.
Well, he couldn't be with me at the office at EG, so you never really saw him there. But he's a cat that I rescued from a kill shelter in LA a few years ago. He was abused pretty badly there, and I kind of took him in, and slowly I'm readjusting him to people. He's doing pretty well. I'm proud of him. He's amazing. My mental support, just overall a great time.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. Do you have any shout-outs? Anybody you want to talk about here before we let you go?
I mean, I want to shout out the staff on TL and my teammates as well. Of course, they're all amazing. Shout out to my lovely girlfriend who supported me through the off-season, which was difficult. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the EG players as well. Sheldon, Soul, Smoothie, they all played really well. And I'm sure that the team's going to do really well going into the year.
I'm excited to continue to see your growth into this new role, Sturdy. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon, all right?
See you soon. Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and bring back Magical and Joshi, and we're going to round out the day. As I love the flustered face for Magical. It's perfect. My friends, we got to hear from Sturdy. All the animals. So, guys, we've made it through our first day. We did finally have a provisional team taking a game, and it was a banger. It was a doozy in the end, kind of a duality of the last series. But before that, it was 2-2-0. So, Joshi, what are your first takes and kind of takeaways from this first day?
I mean, the early things, right? We know that there were a couple provisional teams taking games off of Challenger teams over on the other stream, Challengers League, and now we're going to be looking for more opportunities to see how well they can actually do going further into the season, right? Every win matters. Everything that they do not only gives them better seeding for the playoffs at the end, but also helps them avoid the all-important relegations to make sure that they can keep playing going into summer.
Yep, exactly that. What do you got? Got the dog? Okay, you're all
Why
good.
would you do that without playing them on camera?
We need more dogs on the stream. I don't know. What are you doing? Oh.
All right, okay.
All right, well, Okay. Well, I did ask Joshi on his takeaways, kind of what he's looking for now after having seen the first couple series, or at least first series for a lot of the teams. What about you, Magical?
I mean, I think that a lot of these provisional teams, it goes to what we were kind of building up the whole story for today. So these provisional teams, they got to be looked at slightly different than how you'd view the Challengers teams. Challengers teams are players that you want to build up for the immediate future, like within a split, a year, maybe 2 years. Well, when it comes to provisional, it's more of a long scope, like further out mentality you need to have. But it's still really impressed by a lot of them today. The fact that we saw, I think it was 4 wins for the provisional teams out of 10, that's a good start.
And on the other stream, Wildcard finished 2-0, I believe.
Yeah, that was one of the... so it's 2 there, 1 for Cincinnati Fear, and then 1 for Team Liquid first. And
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to be going back through and looking through the Stream 8 series because I thought it was actually really interesting. But then, kind of looking forward to tomorrow, do you have anything that you're looking out for in specific, Joshi?
Honestly, just seeing how more of these teams start shaking out, right? There's we didn't get to see every team play today. We saw 12 of our
16.
Yeah, 12 of our 16 teams. So we'll get to see the last couple of teams actually play for the first time, and just kind of seeing where everybody kind of shakes out, right? These first games are important, mostly in the sense that we get our first look at them, see what they do well, see what they still need to improve on, and also remember that they will not get to play these teams again until the playoffs at the earliest. And so, if you go up against a team that you feel like you should have beat early on, you gotta do it now. You do not have a second chance.
Exactly. I think the stage is set now for an incredible season. But that is it for us for the first day. Stream A is done. Stream B is now done. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Got to give a huge shout out to Rally Cry, Monkey Bubble, our new producer, Emily, all keeping it together across 2 streams to try and bring us some of these stories and these players. And got to thank you, Magical and Joshi, for tuning in alongside with me and casting these incredible games, and to the audience for being here alongside us and helping create this community. It's been an absolutely amazing kickoff day, and we got more action tomorrow. Same time, same place, and we'll see you on Summoner's Rift.